Oh, you got new water bottle. Oh,
Yes.
she's recording.
Good evening, guys. Hello.
Aloha.
Hi. Right. So, recording has started. Let me just pause that a minute. Okay, good evening and welcome to Diary of a Scentsy Consultant, our programme showing the absolute diversity of amazing consultants across our business. And tonight I am speaking to the absolutely incredible director, Georgie Sneddon. So welcome, Georgie.
Oh,
hi. I'm just going to give you a little introduction about Georgie, and then obviously we'll go right into it, because otherwise I'll just ruin the whole story. But so Georgie is a director. She works full-time and absolutely smashes her business, and there is so much you can learn from this wonderful woman. So I'm going to stop right there, because otherwise I'll ruin it. So Georgie, I'm going to hand straight over to you. So firstly, thank you for doing this. Like, really appreciate it. I know you're a very busy lady. So
okay, thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. I like jumper, by the way. I do genuinely. I was thinking, I like jumper. It's very you.
I've got a very Laura bodysuit on as well underneath, but it was a bit chilly.
We're like channeling each other's vibes tonight. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. Okay, so before we dive into Scentsy, tell us a little bit about you, like the person, Georgie, a little bit about you, your home life, your family. Tell us, Georgie, the overview.
So I am obviously Georgie. I have got 3 children. My oldest is 13, my middle one is 11, and then my youngest is 5. And the youngest is an absolute whirlwind. She definitely comes with a whole load of chaos. I do work full time. I've been in my full-time job for 10 years. So I started as working as a sales rep for a school photography company, out on the road, cold calling, etc. And we do like marketing as well as school photographs, and I am now the business development manager for the marketing side of the business. So it's exciting, it's busy, it's a lot of traveling. I go up and down the country quite a lot because we have a nationwide sales team and we do lots of conferences. And yeah, I am just a bit crazy, I think is the best way of putting it. I don't really ever sit still. I am always busy. I'm always on the go. My brain never stops. And yeah,
But you
I'm
are
here
living proof. You are living. You need to come to Nottingham, Emma said. You do, because you can pick me up on the way. That passes me as well. But you are living proof that you can absolutely smash your Scentsy business around a full-time job and around other commitments. Like busy people
absolutely
are the best at this business, right?
Yeah, like both boys play football. They train twice a week. They both have games at the weekend. B does dancing and swimming, and then all the other commitments that come with having a secondary school child that competes in every sport that you can imagine. It is busy.
Busy, but you definitely smash your business. So let's come over to Scentsy now. So when did you join Scentsy?
I joined on the 28th of July in 2020, smack bang in the middle of lockdown.
Okay. And what I will just say tonight, I know I sent you some questions over, and I know we've got a little bit of like a structure. However, if at any point you feel like you're, going off on a tangent and, the conversation just leads in another direction, just totally go with it, because everyone that's come so far has gone, sorry, I know I'm going off tangent. And I'm like, no, that is the point of this, because it's so interesting to learn, about, different people across the business.
So I am actually, like, in terms of joining Scentsy, I am probably not the best advocate, because I didn't join for the free wax. I didn't join because I loved the product. Probably shouldn't say that out loud, but I genuinely didn't.
Authenticity always, George.
Always, yeah. I obviously working in the education industry for schools. When the schools closed, our whole company closed. So I was furloughed for the whole of lockdown. And Paul, my partner, works for Marks and Spencer's, and there was lots of talk of redundancies and whatever else. And Carly, my sponsor and director, had been banging on at me for ages that I should do it. And I hadn't really ever warmed any wax, really. I was not a big customer at all. I literally bought a mini warmer for my nan as like, what do you call it? Almost like a sympathy purchase for Carly to support her. And then I came home one day and had an awful smell in my house and ended up opening my nan's mini warmer to put this wax on that she'd been banging on about that was amazing. And ended up buying another one for my nan and keeping that one for myself. But even so, I wasn't like a huge user. And then, yeah, she happened to ask me one day because I was like, oh, I'm not coping with not working. Like I am a bit like Lisa. I'm a self-confessed workaholic.
Well,
I like to have challenges.
Lisa Hallwood had never smelled, never looked at a Scentsy product, never tried a Scentsy product. She looked at about 20 minutes when she joined.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, I said to Paul, like jokingly, oh, Carly keeps asking me to join Scentsy. It's like 80 quid. And he went, well, you might need to. And I was like, oh, do you know what? Stuff it. Let's go for it. And here I am.
Here you are. So take us, we'll just take a little trip down memory lane. So take us back to, what jobs have you done previously? So the kind of journey from leaving school, college, obviously see, I love doing this. You and I have talked about a lot, like we've obviously become quite close ever since, but there's a lot of stuff I don't know. So I'm going to find this super interesting as well. So back to college and like your career up to bring, like what jobs have you done in the past? What has brought you to where you are today?
So I'll be really honest, I didn't have the most stable childhood. My mum and dad separated when I was 13 and I didn't cope with it very well, we'll put it that way. And I was quite naughty and I went to grammar school and didn't want to go to grammar school. So I was a pain in the backside. And if there was something that you shouldn't be doing, I was probably the one doing it. And bless my little nan, she took me in and put me sort of like on the straight and narrow. And I passed all my GCSEs. I did go to college. I wanted to get out of the grammar school that I was in because I just didn't like it. I was actually quite badly bullied at school and I really was not happy there. So I didn't want to stay for sixth form. So I went to the local sixth form college and I actually wanted to be a forensic psychologist.
Did you?
Yeah. And I did a year of doing sociology, psychology and forensic psychology. And then I did photography. Like they were my 4 courses.
I love that.
And yeah, and then
and we didn't know that.
No, and then I decided that actually I'm a bit too emotional and that being a forensic psychologist was just going to fuck me up, for want of a better word, and that I wouldn't be able to detach myself. And living with my nan, I really just wanted to go to work. So I went up city. I got a job working for a law firm. And I then went on to work for a private bank. And I was there as a treasury assistant for a long time. I was then headhunted to be a stockbroker, believe it or not.
Wow.
And I went to work for a company called Sterling International, and that was the year that the recession hit and all the markets crashed. So I was subsequently made redundant, as in last in was first out. And then I found out I was pregnant 2 weeks later, which was not planned. I was definitely 19. It was not planned. And so I was working in a bar like of an evening just for a bit of fun at the same time. And I stayed sort of doing that. Obviously had my oldest. And then I went to work for Sainsbury's as a customer service manager.
Did you?
I did. I was there for like 18 months or so, and then we moved to South Africa because that was where the children's dad was from. And I lived out in South Africa for 2 years, and I was a customer service manager for Canon, like the photography company out there. And then when I came back, I went back to Sainsbury's. They took me back, and I then went back to college to do my A-level in photography as an adult. So I did adult night courses and bits and pieces, and then I trained with a dance photographer and used to do dance photography, and then went on to go and work for Kittle. And 10 years later, I'm still here.
You're still there. Wow. I love that. Like, what a backstory, and what like a whole.
There's no direction to it either.
No...
It's all totally random.
But do you know why I love that? Because actually, do you know what? Sometimes, that is, life just twists and turns in different ways, and sometimes you never know, what opportunities are going to come your way, or where,
And in terms of resilience, like, I think, like, my adult life, I've changed quite a lot from what I was like as a teenager, and all of those different aspects have definitely become elements of my personality, like being made redundant and then finding out that I was having a baby really early and whatever else that was not planned. It was just like, you learn to be resilient, and you learn to just keep going.
100%. And I think as well, from all those different jobs that you've done, there will be something, like, I do honestly believe, whatever your background, whatever your career, whatever job you've done previously, there is something that you can pull into your Scentsy business. There's something that's transferable.
Absolutely. Like from Sainsbury's, you can take the customer service. From the photography, you can take the creativity. From working like for the bank, it kind of, that was a huge pivotal moment for me, that I left. Weirdly, it was called Seahor & Co, which I know sounds really rude. But they do like Rowan Atkinson's charity bank accounts, and Elton John and Lord Sainsbury and whatever. They are a very big private bank. And going along with, being excitable and being headhunted to go and be a stockbroker and then being made redundant, like, that's probably one of my biggest regrets, was like jumping rather than appreciating what I had at the bank. But it is what it is, and I've learned that now I don't make decisions in haste, and it's a life lesson.
I was just going to say, never, like, no regrets, just lessons, right? There's never, don't ever, there's no point in regretting looking back, because we can't change it. And genuinely, everything you just said, like, everything is a life lesson, isn't it? So you grow through what you go through, right?
Absolutely.
There's going to be loads of quotes pulled out the locker tonight. I'm just looking at the comments. So Georgie's my hero. Lacey, you are one of the most resilient people I know, especially with Scentsy and life and numbers. You get numbers.
I do get numbers. That comes from the bank. I'm a bit of a number geek.
I'm going to be coming to you, because I do not. Okay,
so at SFR, we had to do you remember at the leadership training, we had to do like the what is your superpower, and like whatever, and Lisa and Fern were in my group, and they ended up calling me Dory, just because I just keep swimming. It doesn't really matter what's going on, I just keep swimming, and I am quite forgetful as well, so she's quite apt.
I love that. She's literally your spirit animal, and I love that. But like, what a way to be, because there literally is no other way to be, right? What's the alternative? Like, whether it's in life, in your business, like, what's the alternative? Give up and quit? Like, just keep.
So if anyone's got a random Dory buddy clip hanging around, I would love one.
I had one somewhere. I don't know where it is. I'll have to. We've moved house. It's probably got lost in translation. But yeah, if I ever see one, I'll find one. Like, it'll be winging its way straight to you.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we talked about what you were doing for a living when you joined Scentsy. Are you still doing that now? You are. Are you still doing it on the level that you were doing it when you joined Scentsy? Is your role changed since you and how do you fit it in around your Scentsy business?
So my role has changed massively. When I started Scentsy, obviously I was furloughed, so I wasn't really doing anything. I was at home. But when I initially went back to work, I was just a sales rep. I've then obviously been promoted to business development manager, and I've just launched a whole new division for the company. We've built a partnership with an education company, and I've gone from going out and doing 20 cold calls a day in schools to interviewing and meetings with lawyers, and I don't even know what. It's crazy.
Wow.
Never given up. Like, my Scentsy business is still a priority for me, like, irrespective of how busy my day job gets or whatever. I will always make time for my business, because I love it and I love my team, and I understand that resilience is key, in that nothing like something doesn't come out of nothing. So I'm not just going to be able to sit back and go from being furloughed and on my phone all the time and bringing in 2,000 PRV. If I expect to go back to work and do naff all, I'm not going to get 2,000 PRV. So it's making that decision of what do you want out of your business. And for me, 2,000 PRV is non-negotiable. That's like, if I don't get it, I'm cross with myself.
Yes. Absolutely. And I think that's a really important point that you just made, because not everybody joins a network marketing business because they hate their job. Some people do that, and they join.
I love my job.
And that's fine. And some people absolutely love their job. And then, you are living through, much like Katrina, who was on there the other week, she said, she loves her job. She doesn't want to leave. She wants to do it, very much alongside. But you absolutely can do that, because we, as humans, like, you make time in your day for what's important for you. And that's just fact. Like, and you can absolutely do both.
And to be fair, I think like having children of the ages that I've got, they are quite an entitled generation. Like, they expect things quite instantaneously. They don't have the same kind of values that we had of you have to save your pocket money up and you have to wait and this, that and the other. And, like they look at it as
the next day.
Yeah. And they look at it as, I had a conversation with Cooper the other day and he was like, but my friends get £10 pocket money for doing nothing. And I was like, mate, that's like 2 hours work for someone on minimum wage that's 16. Like, that's 2 hours. What are you going to do for me for 2 hours for me to give you £10? And he looked at me like I was crazy. But I think it's good for them to be able to see that actually, yes, they're very fortunate. We've got a lovely home, and yes, we do nice things in the holidays, but that comes from me doing 2 things and being committed to 2 things.
100%. I think as well, your children, that's that thing, isn't it? I promise this is only tea in this cup, not vodka. Your children will follow your example, not your advice. We can tell our kids all the things in the world, but they will see what you are doing, and it's so. And I think I've got to use my words carefully here. A lot of people will say they can't work Scentsy because of their children, but actually make them your reason for working your Scentsy business.
I love helping. I've done markets. I've done 2 markets this month so far. And the first Sunday, my 5-year-old came with me. She loved it. She made new friends. She played with the other kids that were there from other stall holders. And then this Sunday, my middle one actually got up and wanted to come with me. I hadn't asked him to. He actually got up and, he's a Scentsy consultant in the making. He was chatting up all the old ladies. He got one little old lady to spend like 50 quid, bless her.
I love
it. It was so cute. And then she gave him a tip for him being so amazing. But
it is. I love it.
Teaches them,
it is, and they become part of, it just becomes a family business, doesn't it? So yeah, absolutely love that. Okay, so what is your, how many years have you been with Scentsy? About 4, 3,
2.5.
3. Yeah, he's a wheeler and a dealer.
He's a wheeler dealer. 3 in July.
3 in July. Okay, so 3 this year. What is one of your biggest standout, like, wow moments? We use the term a wow moment a lot, and I certainly know what some of mine were, but what have been some of your, or what is your biggest wow moment in Scentsy? Your moment where you've just stood there and gone, wow, like, I'm part of this, or Scentsy did this.
It's got to be standing at the top of a mountain in Norway.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah, with a raging hangover, absolutely sweating because we'd all layered up so much, and it was such a hard climb. But again, it was almost like having an epiphany, because it was very much like, I am known for being the one that will quite drop an F-bomb. I have awful language, I'm well aware of it, but it was so fucking hard to get to the top of that mountain. There was so many times that I was like, I can't do this, I can't breathe. Like, my other half, bless him, had like a bad foot and he still made it to the top. But standing there under that waterfall with like friends that I didn't have 2 years prior to that and were now such an important part of my life, and it was almost like that was the hard climb, and then getting there was the reward. And that's a bit like the business, in that it is hard. I'd not long adjusted to starting a new job and whatever else, but yeah, that for me was a wow moment. and yeah, it's definitely one is going to stand out forever.
It was. And what you just said about, I know we all talked about that. I'm just laughing about that day because that is just such an amazing moment. Honestly, your face, you were just like, I'm so tired. And we were like, come on, you're fine. Come on.
Just to put it into context, I had way too many cocktails the night before, and I was being sick at 4 a.m. on a choppy ship in the middle of the ocean, and then we hiked 5.5, was it like 5 miles or something, up a mountain?
And it was like psychologically, it's the strangest feeling because we literally got all layered up because we're in Norway and it's snowing, and then you start to hike up this mountain and everyone starts stripping up.
We're all in t-shirts,
and then we got to the
top
top and we were all in vests and t-shirts with snow on the ground. It was the weirdest situation, but yeah, it was amazing. But that analogy that you just gave, it was fast too. Lisa was like lightning, her and Mike, we were like, we're through. It was amazing. But that analogy that you just gave, it was, I almost feel like they did that trip on purpose to make us realize this analogy because it was so relevant to our business. It was hard. There were moments we wanted to stop. You know, we saw people, there was like a cafe thing halfway up where some people did have, not Scentsy people, but people had to stop because they couldn't carry on. And we carried on going. And like through all your challenges that day, you made it to the top of that mountain. And it is like, it's exactly the same, you know, as the business. So sidelining into incentive trips here, just tell us a little bit about a Scentsy incentive trip for anybody that's never earned one. And how many have you been on? 2? Yeah, you've been on 2. Yeah.
I didn't get to go on the first. I earned Disney.
Yeah.
Fuming that one didn't go ahead. Me and you would have been like a pair of neurotic Tinkerbells running around like all the things. So I earned Disney. So I joined in July, the Disney like end of July 28th, and then the Disney incentive finished that year, I think, the 31st of January.
Yeah.
So yeah, I earned Disney.
So what can you remember what level were you when you, like, what title were you when you earned Disney?
Superstar
consultant.
Yeah, superstar. I went from
yeah
essential to superstar in that period,
in the incentive period. That's what I thought. So I thought, and that's a really important point. So many people, when an incentive period starts, will say, oh, I can't do this, this is only for people that have been in. No, you can
I went from essential, like literally I started 3 days before the new incentive started, because obviously it started on the 1st of August and I joined on the 28th of July. I went from essential consultant to superstar consultant, and actually that January I think I finished on like 9,000 GWV. So had I hit director, I would have actually earned the trip for me and Paul.
Absolutely phenomenal. So for anyone listening to this, that, you know, when the next trip incentive starts and you think, you know, you can't earn it or it's for people, no, anyone with the right mindset and the right drive and the right work ethic.
And yeah, on that subject, I will say I didn't earn Monte Carlo. I was this close. I think I was 2,500 points off. So it was really close, but just too much PRV. And that has probably been the biggest eye-opener to me in terms of business. And it will be, you know, I'm not looking at that's a bad lesson, that I've not got it. It's a good lesson because it means I can actually sympathize with my team and I can, you know, understand their feelings around it and know the way to teach people what not to do. Because ultimately I started a new job, I wrote everything down on a piece of paper and took for granted that the momentum that I had was still going to be going, and it wasn't. And I didn't do enough groundwork. And it's as simple as, I actually worked out yesterday, I told Lisa, had I got paid at title every month in that incentive period, I would be coming to Monte Carlo. Like, that's how fractional it was. But I think after earning 2 incentives, I was actually a little bit, not arrogant necessarily, but I was like, oh, I'll pull it off. Like, it's fine. I'm not going to stress about it. I've got a new role. I've got this. I've got that. And now I know that I'm 100% going to cry when I see you in Monte Carlo and I'm not there. But I think that will actually be a huge like chapter and learning curve for me to pivot my business, because I sure as hell I'm not going to let that happen again.
No, and exactly.
Not ever.
Never. So
Never.
like the guys have just said in the comments, so like Lisa said, it's a chapter. It is literally everybody's business, everybody's life, everybody's journey. It's our own book that we're writing, and it is a chapter in your story. And Emma's just said it. I've done exactly the same thing. And
so it's not unusual.
no,
it's
exactly.
not unusual. Like, you will have ups and downs. I had 2 years of ups. I then obviously, like within that period, B started school, things happened at home, you know, Cooper started secondary school, and life got turned upside down with my job changing as well. And ultimately my family were my priority, and I didn't put as much effort into my Scentsy business, but that's okay, because I'm okay with it.
You're aware of it, and like you just said, you can always find the flip side. You can flip that mindset. And I will just
absolutely, as
a sideline to that, just say, as much as I did earn it, I kind of the same thing. Like I earned it by the skin of my teeth this time.
We had that conversation, didn't we? That neither of us were particularly far away on points or whatever. And it is what it is.
And totally, you know, I don't care how long you've been in the business, what title you are, like probably previous years, like you said, I wouldn't say either of us were arrogant people, but it's very easy to sit back and think, oh yeah, I've earned the other ones, I'll just keep doing this, and it'll be. I had earned the previous incentives months before. So by my own admission, I might have taken my foot off the gas a bit and thought, you know what, I can move house, I can do this, and I still very much worked our businesses, but there's nobody responsible for that or anyone than ourselves.
And I think as long as you're okay with that, so it doesn't matter where you are in your business right now. Like if you're okay with where you are with your business right now, then that's where it should be. It's if you're not okay with it and you know that you want to change it, then you have to put the work in. If you're not okay with it but you can't be asked, then you have to accept what it is and move on. Like you have to, it is either like at the moment coming out of a dip or a change in business or having to think outside the box, it is a bit like fight or flight, isn't it? You either love this business and you want to fight for it, and you accept that for a period of time it's going to be less than it has been, or you fly and take off and you quit. And that doesn't make it wrong. Like there is actually a quote that I love, and I'm sure Lisa knows that I love it. It's from The Dip, and it is like winners, the phrase winners never quit is actually completely incorrect, because winners do quit. They quit the stuff that isn't working, they quit the stuff that isn't right, and they quit what's not beneficial. So like if something's not working, put it in the bin, move on.
100%. Sorry, Dan just walked in. I was just you're right. It's so true. And actually quit all the other stuff that's not working for you and focus on the things that are. And actually, you know, if it's not right, then you move on to the stuff that is right. And I think you're totally right in what you just said. Like we are in fact, if you're in my team, you would have heard me talk about this morning, you know, like we've got to stop looking back at the last 2 years. Like this is the reality.
This is normal. This is the normal. And if you were in 6 years ago when I started, this was the business. This is how you had to work your business. You had to work your business. We've gone like this. We've come down actually compared to over here. We're now plateauing.
But we are settling down again, and you do have to put the work in.
And to be fair, I think I've been quite fortunate in that I joined in lockdown, but obviously joining as an essential consultant, yes, I had a fair amount of growth to nearly to get to director in 8 months, but that growth hasn't all of a sudden dropped. It's then been sustained. So I haven't seen as much of a dramatic dip in mine as some people. It's just taken consistency. And I'm not going to lie, I don't get paid at title every month. I've gone in and out of DQ and up and down like a yo-yo. Touch wood, I've not dropped back to SSC at any point, but again, there's been months where it's the 3rd month of DQ and it's by the skin of my teeth. So my business is not perfect by any means, but it's having the resilience and the perseverance to go, right, I can't let that happen.
And you're consistent, and literally,
Yeah.
above any word in this business, consistency is where it's at, and that is.
And don't get me wrong, like yesterday, for example, I posted in my customer group once, and that was a meme about going back to work after the holidays, and that was it, because my day was that busy yesterday. But
Yeah.
I'm not going to beat myself up about it, because I know that, you know, my customers know where I am, they know that my business is open. I know that I then posted about Monday deals last night, and today I've done slightly more. But it's about knowing what you're capable of and making the most of short periods of time, like when you're busy. And it's okay, like you said, when people say, oh, I can't work this business because of my children, it is okay to sit down and say, kids, I just need 15 minutes. Or my actual power hour time is generally when the little one's gone to bed, the boys go and watch something, and I go lock myself in the bath, and I sit in the bath for about half hour, 45 minutes, and that is when I will work my business. And it will be either scheduling posts or messaging people or messaging my team.
Yeah.
And that is enough.
Yeah, 100%. Totally possible. Okay, so any over the last couple of years, are there any, whether this has been in person, at an event, something you've watched on training, is there anything, any standout events or trainings where you're like, wow, that was like a pivotal moment in my business, something that you've listened to that's really stood out to you?
So SFR has got to be like, event wise, that was just magic. And to get to walk the stage as a director and just the whole experience, it was incredible. In terms of training, like, this is going to be a bit geeky because I'm a bit numbersy and whatever. The most standout training for me was our leadership training from Deb Bowden at Bowden, that one. At SFR. And basically what she said was, you know, to be in this business, you have to lead if you want to grow a team. And there are different types of people. And she spoke a lot around like diminishers and idea factories and whatever. And that for me was an absolute whopping eye-opener. That as a leader, I don't ask questions. We called Lisa Question Master. That was her nickname, because she does ask the questions rather than give ideas.
Yeah.
But I actually realised that I need to take a step back and ask my team, well, what have you done? What are you doing? Where are you going? Like, what's your goal for this month? Instead of going, oh, you're going for 500 PRV, you can do this. Because actually, like, the training and the study that she gave us and the videos that we watched totally showed that has a completely adverse effect on people.
Yeah.
And yeah, for me, that was a real big learning curve in both from like my day job and Scentsy. Like, it can be applied in all ways.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was big for me.
Was super powerful. And just to add on to that, anyone that's listening to that wasn't there, so basically when you hit a lead title and above, the day before SFR, there's a leadership day where you do leadership training. And this particular training that Deb delivered, it talked about diminishers and multipliers, and basically everyone's different.
It was finding people's superpowers. It doesn't matter who you are, where you're from, you know, what your background is, how intelligent you are, how many GCSEs you've got. You being a good leader makes everyone smarter, because you hone in on what they do and what they're good at and give them their superpower and empower them to have their own ideas. It was brilliant.
It was genius, amazing, brilliant. Okay, what would be your biggest tip that you would give to somebody when it comes to networking? So, you know, we all know that everyone's really good at marketing, but actually networking, so whether that's in person, behind the scenes, online, what would be your biggest tip when it comes to networking?
Don't stop talking, ever. Like, just drop it in all the time. Like, it has to be. You have to. I think the biggest thing is, you can't join a network marketing business and then say you can't find new customers if you're sitting behind your phone. Like, well, you can if you're in people's inboxes and you're building relationships in the right way. And, you know, but I actually think that doing it online is so much more effort than it needs to be. Like, it literally does not need to be that much effort, because you have got to be intelligent about doing it online. In that, if you're going to join a dog walking group, for argument's sake, or, you know, a spaniel group for little puppies, and, you know, like people's posts, that's a long game.
Yeah.
If you want to be successful as a short game, literally get yourself out there and talk to people.
Yeah.
So I do a lot of events. I love a market. I've been very lucky in that I've found a couple of really good ones that have been happy to have me back as a repeat.
No. You're not lucky. You put yourself out there and you went and asked the questions. So you're not lucky.
I did, yeah. And actually, it actually came from one of my customers. I can't even say that I put the legwork in. Bless her. She sent me loads of screenshots from groups that she was on of markets before Christmas last year. And I was like, oh, thanks, love. And
Yes.
it's worked. But I mean, I met people this weekend and the one that I did at the beginning of the month, that have either got a consultant that is no longer and they haven't found a new one. They have a consultant that falls off the face of the earth every so often, then all of a sudden pops back up when they decide they want to put an order in.
Yeah.
And they found that quite harsh, in that they said they felt like, you know, they all of a sudden pop up and then they want to take all of our money. They're not there all the time, so they were missing deals. And people that just hadn't been getting a certain level of customer service. So I had a lady that was like, oh, Scentsy, I don't rate it, it's not worth the money, like, I'll never buy it again. And I said, also, like a lot of people would go, okay, and just ignore her because she was quite abrupt. And I sort of said to her, well, why is that? What's happened? What's giving you that opinion? And she was like, well, I always bought loads. My children bought me a warmer for Christmas from this lady, and the base, like, it blew. And we tried a different bulb and it's not working. And when I asked her if she could help me, she said I'd have to buy a new warmer. And I was like, no, that's rubbish. It's got a lifetime warranty. Write your name and address down and I'll fix it for you. So she didn't buy anything then and there. I'm not getting anything out of that. But she then, yesterday or the day before, spent £48 on wax, because she got the level of service that, you know. So it's just about, just don't ever stop talking. Don't ever stop talking. A swimming mum tonight. She doesn't buy from me. I don't know her. We just chat at swimming. She's a teacher, and we were talking about what I'd been interviewing for today at work. And she sort of said, like, oh, I really could do with something, like, with some extra money. And I just sort of said, well, have you ever looked at, like, network marketing? I didn't necessarily say, like, Scentsy, like, down her throat straight away. I was like, have you ever looked at something like that you can do from your phone? She was like, yeah, I just don't really know what. And I sort of said, well, you know, I'm a Scentsy director and I've been doing it like 2 years. And she said, like, well, what sort of money do you get? And I told her, and she was like, oh, okay. And I see her every week. So she may come back next week and be like, right, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I don't ever stop talking about it.
If you're not planting that seed, you won't have that option.
Absolutely.
If your mouth is closed, so is your business.
Absolutely.
It's really as simple as that. Just keep swimming and just keep talking.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
We should get some t-shirts printed. Okay, so I think I'm going to know the answer to this, but what was your why when you joined? So it wasn't because you loved the products, because you never really tried the product. So what was your reason for joining?
Something to do, if I'm really honest. That was it. It was, I am a self-confessed workaholic. I wanted a challenge to get through lockdown, because otherwise I probably might have killed my kids. Like, yeah, I just needed something just for me. And, you know, God forbid I didn't have a job to go back to afterwards, or Paul was made redundant. I had something else that could potentially bring in some sort of avenue of money.
Yeah, amazing. So, but what is your why now? Like, what is it that every day gets you up, even if it's in, like we said, it's even in the smallest capacity? What is it that keeps you working your business consistently?
I've probably got two, and they're a little bit different. Like, from a leader side, like, I just absolutely love seeing someone meet their goals. Like, for me, that is so fulfilling. It's not even about the money. It's not about, like, what I get out of it. I just absolutely love seeing people get excited and do well for themselves. Like, it just sets my world on fire. And like Lisa said it before, I'm pretty much the same. If I'm having a shit day, to go and pour yourself into others and see them get excited, it does make you feel better. Like that's probably like my leadership why. And I have got an amazing team of up and coming rock stars that it excites me. Like it really does, that they are just, they love the business. They've grown in confidence. Like I know my little teamie Charlotte is on here watching. That girl has literally changed as a person since she joined Scentsy. Her personality has flourished, and I couldn't be happier for her. And she's just amazing. Like it's lovely. And I think my newest teamie, Carrie Ann's on here, and she's absolutely smashing it out of the park. Like it just makes me excited. Like I get excited for them.
It is.
And then in terms of my other why, like weirdly, I would absolutely love to get Paul out of retail. Like that would make me happy.
And
like all the Christmases that he works and all the hours and whatever, for us to get to a financial point of view that he doesn't, you know, necessarily have to be there on Christmas Day like that or on Christmas Eve or whatever. For me, that would be amazing.
And that epiphany came to you when you was cooking your dinner one day, didn't it?
Yeah, actually, yeah. It was you and Lisa where I can't remember what you were talking about. You were talking about an incentive trip, and it was before Norway. It was like a how to reach, and I was sort of halfway there, and I was cooking a roast, and I literally stood in the kitchen and cried and was like, I need to take him on that trip because that will change us, and it will change where we're going and the course of us as a family and whatever. So yeah, that was a big, that was a probably an epiphany training as well. I've had a few.
Yeah. And the thing is, some of them will hit you when you don't even realize it. When you just, like you say, you're just cooking dinner, you've got your AirPods in, you're doing something, and then somebody will say something and you're like, wow, yeah, like it is really special. And that's why I'm sure you'll agree. And I know you are you deliver a lot of trainings to your own team, but it's so important to listen to a whole, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a whole range of trainings and a whole, you know, just soak up as much as possible.
Yeah, and Lisa will tell you, like, I'm not very good with American voices. Like, I've got a bit of I can't listen. And she'll go to me, you really need to listen to this training. And I'll be like, is it American? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, I'll pass on that. So it is about like finding your own way. And I don't think you can ever stop learning. Like the phrase every day is a school day is absolutely 110% spot on. And if you want this business to work, that's what you need to get up and do every day. You need to go, right, what am I going to learn that's new today?
Yeah.
Like if I get in the bath, is there something I can listen to for 15 minutes?
Because the business is never done, or you're never done with your learning, because it's always changing and always evolving, and it doesn't mean you have to listen to everything and implement everything. It means there's so much out there to learn from, isn't there? Something just came to my head that I was going to say, and it's just gone out again.
I think you just have to find like what works for you. Like you love reading. I can't read for shit. I haven't got the time. Like I'll be reading it and then realise that I'm also writing a shopping list in my head at the same time. Lisa loves a podcast, and I struggle with various voices and things. So it's about like taking bits of what you know you love and how you can apply that to your self-development, because if you stop trying to better yourself, you're never going to better your business.
100%. Like grow the person, grow the business. Like Lisa just said, learning in life is so good for your mindset too. I learned that on a podcast today. It's so true. Your mind is a muscle, just like, you know, your physical muscles. If you stopped using them, they'll deteriorate and they'll dry up.
I actually learned a really interesting fact as well from my chiropractor this week that's really important, that there is new scientific evidence that shows that the reason that the generations that are coming through now are slightly less intelligent than, say, those that finished school 20, 30 years ago is because where they're always down and on a screen and not up, that their brain is actually developing further forward. So the bigger part of your brain at the back doesn't get to expand because it's top heavy.
Wow.
So it's a really important thing to actually go out, look up at the world and open your eyes. And like Wendy Howe always says, look up at the sky and what can you see?
Yeah,
And is the
yeah,
sun
yeah.
shining? Are the clouds there? And what are you grateful for today? It doesn't have to be learning like sitting in a phone, watching someone else. It can be with a podcast, and can you go out and get a walk?
Yeah.
And
I was just
yeah,
going to say that you're totally right. I do love reading. I do, but I will literally take 10 minutes in the morning to soak up something to like ignite my brain. But actually, one of my favorite things to do is on a Sunday morning, put my AirPods in and put a podcast on audiobook or something and go for a walk, because you're totally right. Like when people say they haven't got time for personal development, just fit it into what you're already doing in your day.
I think the thing that people are scared about with personal development is they think that it's this great big fad and you've got to be totally committed to it and you've got to be doing this and you've got to be doing that and whatever. But it's actually not. It can be as simple as, come the end of the day, sit down and go, what do I not like that I've done today? Like there's days that I sit down and go, I didn't deal with that very well today. Like I actually need to go to that person and say, I'm really sorry, I was a bit blunt with you yesterday. Like, you know, I didn't mean it like that. I was just under a lot of pressure. And I think acknowledging your behaviour, that's part of like
Totally
self-development.
yeah.
And look at, if you can sit there and say, okay, I haven't done an hour's worth of Scentsy today, or I haven't actually made any sales in 2 days. Right. Okay. I'm going to give it half an hour now. That's personal development. You've acknowledged something that you've not done and you've like moved forward with it. Like even shouting at my children, like everyone shouts, everyone loses their temper, but I'll always go back and go, do you know what, kids? You really made me really cross. Like it was just too much. And yes, I swore. Yes, I lost my temper, but mummy's sorry. Like, and that's acknowledging something, and that's personal development. 3 years ago, I would have never been able to do that.
Totally. Like, honestly, you totally articulated that perfectly, because it's not claiming that everything's perfect and people don't have challenges, people don't have hard days. Lisa actually reshared something that Stephen Bartlett posted the other day, and it said like, successful people still have doubts, fears, insecurities, mental health problems, all of the above.
Yeah.
They just know that that's part of life, and they know how to deal with them and to acknowledge them and work through them. Like it happens to everybody. So yeah, you're right.
I've always said to my team, both at work and in Scentsy, like one of my phrases that everyone coins is, they only said no, they didn't say never. And that's huge in that, you know, whether you relate it to customers and whatever, or to recruits. But it's also like, there's no such thing as an unsuccessful, like there's no such thing as unsuccessful. Like everything that you do is a successful lesson learned. And if that is that you get to the point that you go, do you know what, Scentsy is not for me, that's fine, because you've learned successfully that that's not for you. If you go out and you know, try and, I don't know, go ice skating or something, because as an adult and it doesn't work, you go, okay, I can't skate for shit. That's fine. It's not going to work. But it's a successful lesson learned. If I, you know, try something in my business, and one of my moments that sticks with me, when I first ever started, I saw, I think it was Abda, she used to be in Lisa's team, and she posted about, she was doing Dory actually and Nemo buddy clips as like kids hacks or whatever. And I was like, all of my customers have got kids, I can absolutely smash that. I'm going to make a graphic and I'm going to sell a load of them. And I posted them, not one person bought a kids product. And I can probably tell you, hands down, over the last 10 years, the majority of the kids product I've sold have been to myself, in case you can't see. Like, but that's not unsuccessful. I know full well that there is no point in me wasting my time in consistently posting kids stuff, because my customers do not buy it. And that's the reality of it. Like, it's about tuning into, not looking at the negative of it. Like, what can I take from that that's positive? Right, I can take that I don't need to post that part of the catalogue very often because it's not going to sell. That's wasting my time. That's not lucrative.
And focusing on the things that are gonna.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it is a bit like, though, when people say, you know, oh, I can't sell Disney, I can't do this, I can't do this. you have to play to your strengths. You can, there are Disney groups, I'm sure, I understand what you're trying to say. So if you really, really, really wanted to sell children's products, you 100% could do that. There's no
Absolutely.
way. But
I did a big bit around using my business page a lot before Christmas and promoting Disney and whatever. And I did get a couple of new Disney customers. Again, it's hard work. It's about being clever. It's about making the right connections, etc. But in terms of like my close-knit customers, like my
VIPs,
core customers, it doesn't work for them. So that's fine. It's fine.
It's fine. Okay. What is your proudest moment since being a Scentsy consultant?
Probably walking the stage as director. Either that or actually getting to see Laura Livingston stand up as an incentive earner. That made me emotional because she worked damn hard to get there, and she was one of the lowest ranked consultants on that trip. So for me, I was proud of her too.
Oh, I love that. Okay, we've touched on this a little bit, but any standout personal development books, audio books, podcasts that you've listened to that have had, had a definitive effect in your business?
So The Dip is definitely one of my favorites because it's only about this big and it takes like 10 minutes to read. Multipliers, that is a bit more in-depth. That was the book that we were talking about from the training. And I've actually started reading, I don't know if you've read it yet, Laura, Jason, our country manager's book.
No, I haven't read it yet, no, but I have.
And it's good.
Yeah.
It's light, it's easy, it's, you'll love it because it's like habit plans and habit stacks. And I'm not very good at the actual implication of it, but it's kind of sticks in my mind and I do bits and pieces like with it slowly.
Yeah, it's habits are so important, atomic habits, high performance habits, it's across the business as a whole. So no, I haven't read that yet, but I definitely want to.
And again, it is, I think, like, you can go and read a book, but you don't have to be the person in the book. Like Beach Money, that's a brilliant book. I read that on holiday. I can resonate with it. Do I envision myself having beach money while I've still got a full-time job? No, because I would never give up my day job. But that doesn't mean that I can't relate to other things in it and associate it. So again, I think it's about just being patient with yourself. You can't read a book and then think that, like, I'm going to have the best habits ever and I'm going to get up every morning and I'm going to do a workout and I'm going to do this, because life happens. So as long as you're okay with making small changes, eventually over time, it will make you a much happier person. Like, I 100% used to be, like Carly will tell you, me and our other friend Keely, who's not a Scentsy consultant, she used to call us the grumpy twins because she was always little Miss Positive and sparkly and we were always freaking miserable. So she used to call us the grumpy twins. But over the last 3 years, I've probably become more of a glass half full than a glass half empty. So it's a slow process, but you've got to trust the process.
It's the compound effects. That's another good book.
Yeah.
It's the compound habits that over time will, and then before you know it, you look back and you almost sound like a different, I don't mean you, but like in general.
No, you are. I am. And it's acknowledging that, do you know what? Life isn't going to be all sunshine and rainbows. Like we said this yesterday, it's not going to all be sunshine and rainbows. Things aren't handed to you on a platter. And actually, adult life and parenthood and all of that jazz is really hard. And it is a lot of spinning plates and it can feel really overwhelming. But you've got to learn to stand and take stock of the things that you've actually got to be grateful for, because that will then, mean that you grow even further and you become a better person because you're acknowledging that, okay, I'm a bit stressed, but it could be worse.
100%. Practicing gratitude, people have obviously heard me talk about this a lot, but practicing gratitude is actually scientifically proven to shift things in your brain. I'm not going to, I won't go too deep into science because I'm no expert on it. However, it's not just going like, oh, I'm grateful. You should find a perspective. When you do that consistently over time, it does actually shift how your mind looks at the world. And that's why it is so important to
absolutely
do that. Okay. So aside from income, tell us one thing that Scentsy has done for your life.
it's changed me. That makes me emotional. It has changed me as a person. Like the phrase "you join for the products and you stay for the people" could absolutely not be more true. Like, hand on heart, it's like when I started, I said to Carly, I'm not going live. I'm not doing none of that shit. I'm not showing my face. I don't want to be involved in that. I lasted about 2 days and then I went live and got the bug, and I think it's made me just a much more open-minded person all round.
Yeah, amazing. Okay, a funny or inspiring story. Tell us something that's happened on a live, on a training, with a customer, on an incentive. Ooh.
Pardon? No. Right, good night. Sorry.
That's all right. That's fine. So a funny or inspiring story over your time as a Scentsy consultant.
It's got to be, in terms of funny, it's got to be my 3 children having a kung fu fight and literally knocking 10 bells out of each other while I was live in my customer group, to the point that I actually had to abort the live. I was like, guys, I've got to go. I need to actually go and like rip my children a new one because they're not stopping. They were properly like kung fu kicking in front of the TV. B was launching herself at the boys, and I was just like, but to be fair, that is like, my customers totally associate my business with like my kids and how crazy they are. There's videos, like I have customers and like consultants that have sent me stills of like B with her finger up her nose being completely gross. Like, there's been times where I've asked her like, what do you think of that one, B? And she's gone, it smells like toilet duck. And I'm like, brilliant, that's great.
Kids are brilliant, aren't they? Honestly, there's loads of, it was I can't remember what scent it was, but I remember Laura Street saying she was live once and she asked a little girl what something smelled like, and she went, smells like ham mayo sandwiches. She was like, yes, I think like we are quite comical. Paul takes the mick out of me a lot. That's real life, and that just shows your customers and your potential team members that, look, this is life. Like, this is what happens. We can do this. Yeah. And one of my team, Zara, actually said that one of the reasons that she joined was that she was looking and watching videos of me sitting on my floor with my kids amongst all the Scentsy chaos, like packing deliveries, and that was what made her want to join. Like, she was like, I want to do that. I want to do that with my girls. I want to make orders look pretty, and I want all that Scentsy everywhere and that chaos. And and now she's a lead consultant and smashing it. So people are interested in like all sorts. People are nosy. People want to see your life. People want to see you crazy kids and what you're doing, and because it actually makes. And to be fair, my customer group is probably more like a blog of my life than it is an actual like shop front. To be fair, but that's it's so important, because like we've said a million times, you know, every consultant has the same product, but you are what your business is. You are, and every consultant has that in that's what makes them individual, and that's what makes absolutely. And authenticity is such a big part of it. Like, and I think that's part of your self-development journey as well. If you can learn to stay in your own damn lane, stop comparing yourself to others, and just accept who you are. And if people don't like you, that's okay. This is what I keep telling my kids. If people don't like you, that's okay. That's not a problem with you. That's a problem with them, because they're not accepting of other people's personalities. But if you can accept who you are, like, I know I'm loud. I know that I swear. I know that I'm the crazy ginger person that, you know, will dance on a table on a night out and be really stupid. But I'm okay with that, because that's who I am. And the circle of people that are around me, they might be smaller than other people's circles, but they're people that love me for who I am. And that's all that's important. And I stopped comparing. I stopped comparing a long time ago, because it just makes you bloody miserable. Exactly. Comparison is the thief of joy. Okay, so we will wrap this up. We've literally stayed like on the hour. I love it. We've stayed within our quota. That's excellent. Okay, so what would be the best piece of advice? So if somebody was joining Scentsy today, I know there's like so many different, you know, ways we could go on this, but what would be the one piece of advice you would give to somebody starting their Scentsy business today? Be authentic, keep it simple, and be consistent. Amazing. Could not agree more.
It's as simple as that. It doesn't have to be any more complicated.
It doesn't. This business isn't easy, but it's simple.
Yeah. And I think actually if you try to overcomplicate it and you try to do all the things, like you look at, I don't know, your director's post and they're doing something, and your team members post and they're doing something, and your SSDs post and they're doing something, and then you think, oh my God, I've got to do it all. That actually is counterproductive. That's not going to see you do a successful business. Like, absolutely. It's a bit similar actually. When I became a parent, I'll never forget, I can't remember where I met her. There was a random lady that I was chatting to, and she said to me, as a mum, you have a mother's instinct, and you can listen to all these other people's pieces of advice and take them all on board and learn from them, but ultimately you know best. And it's exactly the same in your business. You can look at everybody else's ideas, you can look at everybody else's business, but don't look at it through, you know, green envy tinted glasses that your business doesn't look like theirs or you can't do that. Take on board what you can do and do that and go with your gut. So if someone's posting kids stuff and you know that your customers don't particularly buy children's stuff and your gut's like, oh, I'm not sure that I'm going to sell that, don't do it. Go and do something that is going to work, because you will flourish more when you're doing you than trying to replicate someone else.
Amazing. Honestly, Georgie, I could literally sit and chat to you all night. Like, you've been absolutely wonderful.
Thanks
so
for having me.
So much. Just totally welcome. Honestly, I've absolutely loved it. Let me just have a quick look at the comments. We love you, Georgie. Love it, love it. I think I need to show my face.
Oh, you're all sweet.
I'll add that one to the list. This is golden. Emma, I've had to do that recently. I can't drive. No, because she's popped her shoulder out.
Yeah, silly woman falling over in a car park. Who does that?
In the fresh. Amazing. Katrina said thank you. Honestly, I will share this training. Thank you so much, Georgie. Honestly, it's been an absolute pleasure.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Having me.
All right, babe.
I'll speak to you later. Bye.